The R17 content browser introduces a setup that makes creating dressers, bookcases, cabinets, and all sorts of shelving systems quite a breeze. Here's a small sample of what we can do with it. The setup comes with three main objects: a cabinet, a set of doors, and finally a collection of handles. By combining these three objects, we can create a variety of designs in a short time. The main building block is this cabinet object here. To use the doors along with a cabinet building block, all we need to do is drop the object inside the null, place your door here. From then on, the doors are connected to the cabinet, and whatever adjustments we do to the cabinet will be mirrored to the doors. To add handles to our doors, we follow a similar procedure like the one before. We just drag the handles in the place your handle here null inside the door object. Let's see the options in more detail. First, the cabinet. Our settings are divided into three main groups: the dimensions group, the construction settings, and finally the shelf settings. In the dimensions group, we can adjust the size of our cabinet, width, height, and finally depth. The next group is where we modify the look of the cabinet. In the first subgroup, we adjust the settings of all sides apart from the top. So we can enable or disable the left side, the right side, and finally the bottom. We can also adjust the thickness of those elements, the rounding, and finally how the side elements are offset compared to the top. Following the description here, if we enable the countertop option, then we can adjust the offset from the sides and also from the front. In the next subgroup, we control the countertop look. So we can enable or disable it, have it use the rounding settings from the side elements, and of course control the thickness of the element. In the next group, we can introduce a toe kick to our cabinet. All we need to do is enable the toe kick and then adjust the settings to our liking. That's the toe kick height and the toe kick offset. The final group is dedicated to the back side of the cabinet. We can enable or disable it, adjust its thickness, adjust its offset, and finally its rounding. The next group adjusts the shelves of our cabinets. We can either have a few or none at all. We can adjust their thickness, their depth, and as before, their rounding. One final thing we can control is the distribution of the shelves. And to do that is quite simple. We adjust the height from the top, and then with this spline, we adjust the distribution among the shelves. So by adding and moving points, we can easily get the look we want with just a few clicks. Let's add a door to our setup. The doors are divided into two different objects: horizontal to create drawers and vertical ones. Let's try the horizontal. As mentioned before, all we need to do is drag the door setup into the place your door here null. Since we drag the handles inside the door object, we don't have controls just for the door, but also for the handles. Like before, we can adjust thickness, door count, and distribution. As we saw previously, the distribution is done through the spline graph here. Let's drag a handle to see how that works. Let's try this one. To add it to the setup, we just drag it into the door. Inside the null, place your handle here. Let's adjust the length a little bit. By just picking out different handles, we can completely change the style. So let's pick another one. We drag it into the special null again. And as you can see, there's a small overlap. What we need to do now is adjust the offset of the shelves from the top. And we're all set. So now that we know how these building blocks work, let's try building a real-world example. We first create the main cabinet. Now we need to create some drawers to the side. We can do that by creating another copy of the cabinet in our scene. We adjust the dimensions. We disable the right side, the bottom side, and we also disable the shelves. Now we drag the horizontal doors into that object. And all we need now is some handles for our drawers. Let's pick those. And let's adjust the top offset. And that is it. There are a lot of different designs that can be built out of these simple building blocks. All we need is our imagination. Have fun!